Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapisa Sibidi. Now, in our first story, we start the news from the Accra Mall, where scores of members of the opposition National Democratic Congress have gathered to protest recent military brutalities. The party says it is embarking on this exercise to also demand social justice for unemployed youth. The party and its allied forces will march through the main road linking Flagstaff House and then end at Parliament House. Manuel Kranting joins us live from there now. Hi, Manuel. Manuel. We'll bring you the story later. Now let's take you to the Ashanti region. The chief of Ejura is calling for an extension of stay for the military contingent dispatched to maintain law and order 6 days after the uniformed men allegedly gunned down 2 residents and injured 3 others. Verima Osefredi II says the level of violence incited by some elements within the town needs urgent attention. He told the committee tasked to investigate the disturbances he will table recent violent occurrences when they appear before it. Lava FM's Rasta Sasai Donko has more in the following report.
Ahead of a public inquiry into what happened at Ejura, which has left 3 dead, the 3-member ministerial committee on the Ejura disturbances has been visiting the area. Led by Court of Appeal Judge Justice George Kingsley Kumsin, members first visited the chief of Ejura to officially announce the commencement of hearings on Tuesday. The chief of Ejura, Verima Osefredi, bemoaned the worsening security situation at Ejura.
Justice we pia edi hu so be masa nkrofo na adwombone abom kroma abom tuma beso mo say yekuro maye nti de adisrede to aban nim say ye military detachment kuro yi mu na fe police no so a omo boy ho ba no so aban mie mu maye na yenya security agencies ni be brave wo kuro mu ha say na enkwala na enyini ba no wo mo amefa wo mo adwombone ne tumode aye omo ma omonam kuro mu ha ese kuro no omo befa say asu ni bi
traditional council, any Kromha opinion leaders.
Justice George Kingsley Kumsin stressed the need for people who witnessed or have evidence to the deaths and injuries recorded during the disturbances to testify before the committee to aid its work.
Ejura is a big town. We wouldn't know whether Kweku or Amma was present when the incident took place. If I can use multimedia as an example, when the incidents were happening, some of your staff were covering, so we know that at least they, from their own reportage, they have some evidence which will be helpful to us. Those ones we are extending invitations to them specifically. But the people of Ejura, you know, we cannot determine this man was there, that man was there, or that woman was there. That is why it has become necessary for us to meet the chiefs and the people, so that any person who has any information or evidence to help us to unravel the truth and to make the appropriate recommendation, we do it.
The committee visited families of victims of the disturbances. At the home of Muntala Muhammad, the 26-year-old killed by the military, his grandfather, Alhaji Umar Al-Hassan, who is the Dagomba chief of Ejura, pledged support for the committee's work. The families of other slain men, Nasir, Yusuf and Kaka, requested for witnesses to be supported to make the trip to the committee's sittings in Kumasi.
Mi bisa hwe commission no mo ayen hihye bisa ebetimi aboa se na be ya obi a wo bibi ka fa ho wonni ska obeba no obeye de na watimi adur Kumasi
ebi openi afre eno amena epese obekasa na emom owosa ahokyire mu ye be yen hihye a ye betumi ama wa bekasa na wasan aba.
Justice Kumsin has been extending invitation to people with evidence and eyewitnesses to come before the committee to assist in unraveling the truth. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Ejura, Ashanti Region.
Now, at least 2 people are receiving treatment at the Asonomaso Government Hospital after sustaining injuries in a violent communal clash of some youth groups at Ntonso. Patrons of a popular drinking spot on the outskirts of the Kwabre town are said to have ransacked shops and homes in that community Sunday dawn. Angered by the incident, some youth of the town attacked shops and properties owned by persons from the Zongos, suspecting they could be behind the attacks. JoyNews reports a relative calm has returned to the community.
Smashed windscreens and mirrors of vehicles plying the Kumasi-Mampo road, bringing traffic on that stretch to a halt. The police intervened, firing warning shots to disperse irate youth who look set for reprisals. Personnel from the regional police headquarters joined their counterparts at the Tafopankromi division to provide lifeline security to avert further clashes. The police team, led by Ashanti Regional Operational Commander, Chief Superintendent George Ankoma, brought the situation under control. One person was, however, arrested to assist police investigations.
We will continue with our patrols, and we have put in place arrangement to change the men in the night, so that in the night you will dominate the town until the situation normalizes. As you can see now, calm has returned, and we are going to maintain that peace until we get total peace in Ntonso.
Residents say this is not the first time patrons of that popular spot by name, no size, have attacked shops and homes in that community. Municipal Chief Executive for Kwabre East, Nana Osebonsu, who has been on the ground to assess the situation, is happy calm has been restored.
I'm told that there's a bar here and they operated in the night. So when they cruised this morning, they started vandalizing whatever they saw, hitting some kiosks and whatever they see. They attacked some people from their homes and a lot of things. So we came here and then they started making some arrests. So we invited the police from the Municipal Police Command, the Divisional Police Command, and from the region for reinforcement to come and support us. So by now everything is now under control. But we have closed down the bar. It should not operate beyond 10 o'clock.
Victims of the communal clash are responding to treatment at the Asonomaso Government Hospital. 50-year-old Isaac Amwa, a mason, and Bobie Ansa, 40 years, reported at the facility. Dr. Imrana Mahama is the medical superintendent.
The complaint they gave was he was attacked by some people and they hit him with some sticks and the rest. Now he's under treatment now. He sustained a cut, anterior aspect of the right leg, and that had some pains, muscular pains. We are now evaluating what it is. If there's a need for an X-ray, we'll do that. One was stable. He sustained some small abrasions, and we have treated him and he's gone. And this is the second man.
From Kumasi, for JoyNews, JoyNews reporting.
Now, away from that, health workers at the Pangtan Hospital have refused to return to post contrary to an agreement their leaders signed with government. In an MOU cited by JoyNews, some leaders of the Pangtan Concerned Staff Union on Friday, July 2nd, 2021, appended their signature to an agreement drafted by government, which among other things promised the presence of security personnel around the hospital premises to ensure the safety of staff should they return to post on Monday. While government worked on completing the fence wall within 8 months, but staff failed to show up, insisting their leaders acted without their consent. Faustina Safo monitored fresh negotiations between government and health workers Monday.
New patients are turned away each day, while those on admission with traceable family members have been discharged. That's the situation at Pantang Hospital, as health workers refuse to show up for work in protest of what they call unsafe conditions of service. The workers have since 2013 demanded government evict encroachers who have erected makeshift structures on the hospital's property, but attempts to get the government to heed their call have fallen on deaf ears. This time, the workers are resolute. They will only return to work if government ensures at least 80% completion of the construction of the fence wall around the property. In a desperate attempt to get staff to honor the MOU signed last Friday, Deputy Employment and Labour Minister Bright Riku Brobe began fresh negotiations with union members on the hospital premises. The meeting was, however, interrupted by some unidentified men who infiltrated the meeting. Staff allege some of them were land guards who have sold parts of the Pantang Hospital lands to private developers. In a matter of minutes, 4 police pickups arrived to whisk away one of the men who was still lurking around when the officers arrived. An easy calm was then restored as they continued negotiations. After hours of deliberation, the Deputy Employment and Labour Minister announced they agreed to return to post.
The Ministry of Health has assured the contractor has been asked to go back to site. So as we speak now, the contractor is going in, and within 8 months to go and complete the fence wall. That is the first thing, to secure the lands. And then later, the Municipal Assembly has also assured that they will go after those who don't have permits and ensure that they will do demolitions. The other matter is to do with security. And the National Security Minister has also fully affirmed that together with the Interior Minister, they are going to ensure that police personnel are posted to the police post which we have here, and also round the clock beef up security on the premises. So these are immediately what we have put in place to ensure safety at Pantang Hospital.
Now, the Ghana National Fire Service says its water tender at the Central Business District, Makola, had broken down. Reason personnel at its station there first responded to the fire with extinguishers before calling for support. Some traders say that caused the fire to spread to other shops. In an interview with JoyNews, Public Relations Officer Ellis Robson Okoye shot down the claims, saying personnel were called late and that the broken down fire truck did not aggravate the situation. Maxwell Agraba reports.
It's been more than 10 hours since firefighters started fighting the inferno that engulfed this building here. Some hours ago, they were able to bring the situation under control. But now they are trying to fight the reignited flames that is coming from the first floor of the building here. We are told some combustible materials like spray, wick, and other materials are in that building. I've been speaking to the mayor of Accra, Mohammed J. Soa. He says firefighters here initially had a challenge with the fire hydrants. He says there is low pressure for most of them here in this area.
The only challenge that they had initially from the beginning was the fact that the pressure of water within the precinct of the CBD was low. So after they finish with the discharge of water, to replenish it, they have to go to Alado or Circle to replenish it and come back over here. That delay caused a bit of distraction in the firefighting. But overall, they have been very consistent, and at any point in time, we have not less than 5 fire tenders fighting over here. And they have been fighting since 9:30. In fact, I have seen many fire officers who were on uniform, meaning they were just at home, and they had come here to come and support.
The roofing of the structure has been completely ripped off by the fire. There are also visible cracks in a section of the building. Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Ellis Robinson Oko, says city authorities would have to do an assessment of the structure before anyone can occupy it.
The structure is weak. It's weak, and we don't know when it may break down. You understand me? And so even before the occupants come back, we ensure that the appropriate authority come to assess the structural integrity of the building before they come back. Then there are visible weakness in the building from the way we look up there. You can see some cracks up there, and anything can happen. God knows.
Okay. So what measures is the Ghana Fire Service, Ghana National Fire Service putting in place to prevent any casualty? Now it is even dangerous for your men, because at the point we saw them entering the building.
As you can see, there is an operation area that we are operating, and nobody is even near the building. We are observing this from a certain meters away from the structure, and I believe it's safe to do that.
Okay.
But it is only because of the kind of materials that we have inside there. We have canisters of body spray, mosquito sprays, all sort of materials. Even the materials that we used to sew dress to wear, we have some over there. You see, so all of these things are reacting to the fire in their own special way. It's really a big problem. Today we have to rely on the hydrants from Circle and communities around Circle, Alajo and the rest, to be able to get water here to do the firefighting. And look at the distance involved. It has broken down. It is an emergency vehicle that works 24/7. Even human beings break down. So if an emergency vehicle works 24 hours in a day, it can easily break down. As I speak to you, it's with the mechanics, they are working on it.
But for a place very critical like the Central Business District, where you have a lot of businesses, people's investment are in here. Some of them have gone up in flames already. Don't you think it would have been good to have a standby water tender?
Come again?
Yeah, I'm saying, don't you think it would have been good to have a standby water tender here, even if what they have has broken down?
Yes. That is why a tender from a nearby station came in to assist. When a tender breaks down, there's nothing we can do unless we send it to the mechanics to work on it. You understand me? It's an emergency vehicle, and it has been working 24/7 for, who knows, 10 years, 20 years. It has broken down. We only send it for repairs. You understand me? And then rely on the ones that are available to do the work for us. That's exactly what we are doing here.
Yeah, but the argument of the traders is that, but for that tender, I mean the situation.
I disagree, because we interviewed some people here and they are saying that the fire started somewhere around 6 something. We had the information 9:10, so that if it started around 6:30, it means that you cannot use the tender that is poured here as the basis for us not being here or whatever it is. No.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's how we end the AM News. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Mapita CBD. The AM show continues with Mama V and Benjamin So. Stick and stay.
So Castro is the late Castro. It's been 7 years since he got missing, and officially he's dead.
Can we just stay with Castro? I mean, why do we have to qualify it? He is not, what's that gentleman's name? The one under Nkrumah who was late for an event and then went and said, I think it's Kwabwe to say, I am the late. But it has indeed, per the law, 7 years, and you are declared, well, officially There are some interesting cases in history, though, where people supposedly have been declared that only for them to pop up later, and then it's created a whole mess. Imagine being married to someone like that and then having the person declared dead, only for the person to show. There are some interesting legal cases that, you know, just because you brought it up, it's you know, bringing to mind some of these things. But another beautiful morning. Thank you for making the time to join us for the news review. I have the Finder this morning, the Daily Dispatch, and the Daily Statesman. What do you have?
I'll do the Daily Guide and the Business and Financial Times.
Okay, so even before we hit the major stories, I'd like to take a look at this fire, another one that has gutted the area opposite Makola. And this 3-story facility, I mean, it just, I've been thinking about it and I keep wondering why this happens. And apparently it has only one entry point and one exit point. Main entry point, main exit point. So when a structure is like that, and we know these areas are prone to fires, and after years and years we've not done anything, how does that happen? It is right next to the fire service. Of course, the fire service has also told us about its own challenges, logistics and all of that. But I just think that as a country, we're never futuristic. We never think, you know, forward. We're always caught unawares, and it's so problematic. I really don't know. Yesterday, I listened to one person speak who made mention of the fact that she had gotten some 2 containers full of stuff just days before, stocked them in there, and the fire hits. A lot of them have not insured their product. So it's just a huge mess of a situation, and I really don't know. But in this last one, millions of Ghana cedis worth of items destroyed. How can we live like this?
I remember doing a feature. There was no fire then, but this was at Makola, and with the fire service, the whole idea was for them to walk me through where their hydrants were inside Makola proper, so that in the event of an emergency. And as we took a tour, and I've been trying to look for that, I'm sure it will be on YouTube somewhere. I'll go and look for the, you know, for the clip. They showed me how some of the people had actually set tables and shops on top of the fire hydrants. And getting access, first of all, getting access to those places was very difficult. And then once we got there, identifying where the hydrants were was also really tough, because people had set their tables and wares on those hydrants.
But hydrants even have water in the first place. That's another matter altogether.
Exactly. But the thing is that it is disappointing for me, because it's not for a joke that the National Fire Service has a huge station right there to fight some of these things in terms of the fire that we saw yesterday, and to think that they were unable to in the with all the stories that we've heard, with all the stories that we've heard, like, it's so disappointing, so disappointing, because they are right there, they have a station there. So you can't tell us now that there is a fire to fight that, oh, the tender that we have stationed here has been broken down. Like, seriously? And I think that sometimes when the officers don't have anything, it's better they keep quiet than to tell us that, oh, machines break down or human beings get tired.
But is it not only fair for them to also let us know what the true picture is? Because they may be the officers, they may be trained to do the work, but they are not the ones who are going to get the what do you call it, the tenders. They are not the ones who are going to procure the tenders.
I appreciate that.
They are not going to.
But I think that if you sit in the station and you don't have a tender, but your job is to go there daily and fight fires when it happens, and you know that when it happens, you don't have the tool, and you're just quiet and you're seated, wait, fire comes, and then you come and tell us that you don't have the tender.
They've told us there's a problem
failure
with the tender. What we are saying, or what at least you're saying now, would be conjecture that they've sat there, and obviously within this period of time that they are telling us the tender has broken down, I'm sure there would have been some communication to the effect that, look, we need extra. Look, even apart from that, we know that.
All I'm saying, Ben, is that for an ordinary person where there is fire like this, and you know that there is a situation like, don't even tell me. You make me more angry. You get what I mean? Because you're just like a minute away, and I know that when there's an emergency, I can call on you. But now you come and then you tell me that, oh, yeah, there is an emergency, but I don't have the tools. You know, and that's the thing. Because if you've written letters or people have promised you, government has promised, and that they'll buy you tender, blah, 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 and you don't have it, you don't stay there and wait until there's an emergency, you know? And we will, you know, it's so sad. Like you watch it, and I heard, first of all, there was Manuel Cranting who was narrating, later was Maxwell Agbagba, and we had to get the military to bring in their tender to be able to finally deal with this.
From the ministries also. The one stationed right next to you. And you see, I can understand, I feel your pain. It is right next to the place. They're practically sharing a wall, if you like. So I get the entire
thing. I'm angry because if you Google, just anybody Google Makola fires, you see the number of fires that we've recorded at Makola alone.
Yeah.
Plenty. So to think that we don't have any strategy to fight it and we will still come back and say, oh, there's only one exit. Like, seriously? For how long haven't you known that there's only one exit?
Well,
I mean, it's like we're joking. It's like a piece of joke.
Aren't we? We have been joking on so many matters for a long time.
It's sickening.
But what really irks me, you know, riles me, is the fact that I think in most things in this country, most things that you would expect the state or officialdom to do for you, the citizen is almost left on his own. When it comes to certain attacks on your person, I mean, robberies and the rest, you're calling the police and certain things are not working, certain responses are not coming. It's a fire. You're not getting the sort of responses you need. Myriad matters, and you're left basically to your own devices on your own as a citizen. And think about it. These are the very reasons we have the state. We have officials in key position to serve us, to perform some of these duties for us. So if those can't be done, then where are we? Do you get what I'm saying? Because we get officers in charge to take care of some of these things. So if there's a fire outbreak in my house and it can't even be dealt with, and I have to now resolve to finding ways and means to do it, then it's look at that. So much property gone up in flames. Anyway, so we can get into the details of the paper. I see you taking a keen look at the BNFT. Is that where you want to start from?
That's absolutely where I want to start. Public servants see lowest pay rise in a decade. Pay goes up by 4.7%. Or by 7% in 2021-2022. Labour unhappy with quantum. Government cites job sustainability, economic recovery. So there is an increment, but they say it is really, really low, that they're very unhappy about it. So public servants will see a 4% pay rise in their base pay this year, the lowest increment since the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission began the Public Services Joint Standing Negotiating Committee negotiations in 2010. The committee, made up of government, organized labor and employers, have agreed to a 4% increase in base pay for public sector workers in 2021. They've also agreed to a 7% base pay increase for 2022. This means that if you're paid 1,000 Ghana cedis, you will receive a 40 Ghana cedis top-up this year. Well, I mean, for people who have suffered a lot in 2020, 2021, who actually even lost their job. So if you're a private teacher, you absolutely lost your job in 2020. And to think that public servants are getting some sort of increments and they say it is the lowest and they're unhappy. I don't know what words you have for them this morning. This is good. It's better than nothing, you probably would say.
Something always better than nothing.
Yeah. Back on the front page of the Business and Financial Times newspaper, EPA won't negatively affect after prospect. EU ambassador, rather an opportunity for manufacturing sector. Details of that on page 2. Said head of the European Union mission to Ghana, Ambassador Diana Akontia, has debunked assertions that the coming into force of the interim economic partnership agreements with Ghana will undermine the purpose of the African Continental Free Trade Area, saying the country's trade pact with Europe will rather boost the capacity of the manufacturing sector to produce for the continent. FDA warns exporters over goods repatriation damages is also another story on page 3. The Food and Drugs Authority has warned exporters that they would impose the most punitive damages per the laws on those whose goods are repatriated as a result of non-conformity to standards and guideline procedures of the destination countries or zones. All right, let's see on the back page of the Business and Financial Times what we have. New orders rise for 13th month running, but price increases restricts growth. Softest rise in output in 2021 so far. Joint fastest increase in charges since November 2018. Okay. And then there's KGL group supporting national teams with sponsorship package. Details of that also on the back page of the Business and Financial Times. So I was just trying to see if there was anything in the center spread. Yes, there is. Okay, it's interesting. So the sports stories are in the center spread of the paper. Probably would leave it for Muftau to come and run us through the sports stories. Okay, that's it.
Well, let's fix our gaze now on the Finder newspaper. It says Afenyo Markin donates third police station, 2 vehicles to police, and that's a good one. At least when we complain and when we bash and when we say that the system isn't working, at some point we must help as well. And Afenyo Markin is doing exactly that. This is a third police station he's donated and 2 vehicles to boot. Makola fire, congested access impedes fire fighting. Didn't we know this all along? We've always known it. And there are areas where the fire tenders simply cannot go. I mean, in other countries, they are using drones and the rest to stem the tide of fires. Others have certain equipment that they can use to target fires, even in very high-rise buildings. There was a time the fire service told us that if fires went above a certain level, they couldn't, access them. And so buildings shouldn't even, because if you have a very high-rise building, a skyscraper, they will not be able to get to it.
I think beyond the 7th floor.
Seventh floor. So 6th, 7th floor thereabout. But that,
and then I think there was a promise or assurance of them getting 2 fire tenders, and this came from the fire service themselves.
Well, there's also this story about government to absorb 15 million Ghana cedi separation surgery cost for Siamese twins. Madam Opari made that announcement yesterday, and a lot of praise for the presidency for that. On social media, others have also taken the presidency to the cleaners that, well, this is just one individual or family's life you are impacting. How about the other Ghanaians? I guess it's one at a time, isn't it? Let's move on to some other stories I'm going to focus on from this paper very quickly. On page 2, it says road crashes, deaths hit 1,454 in 6 months. But Mama V, do you know what got me a bit interested? You see the way deaths and hit have been, but in a way it reflects the reality. It's a lot of that, isn't it? But the breakdown says data compiled by the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service has revealed that the number of commuters killed in road traffic crashes between January and June this year has risen to 1,454. So it's a 27.54% increase in deaths compared to the 1,140 people killed in the first 6 months of 2020. Then 1,212 males have been killed, 242 females have been killed, 423 pedestrians have been killed, and motorcycles top fatalities with 622. There are many other statistics in there, but the picture remaining gory, and that is the sad state of road accidents in the country. When you turn to page 5, MIM Cashew shuts down, more than 1,000 employees laid off, and this is important, especially because of the yawning, the lacuna when it comes to job creation and employment opportunities in our country. And according to the story, MIM Cashew and Agricultural Production Limited in the Ahafo region has shut down with more than 1,000 employees laid off. Mrs. Jemima Kusika Hansen, the Director of Human Resource and Administration, said the Free Zone enterprise was shut down in November 2020 due to the high cost of production, processing, and lack of raw materials to feed the factory. So here's the important part. The coal is that the government come to their aid. They've actually been calling on Dr. Owusu Efriakoto, the Minister of Food and Agriculture, so that jobs can be created for the local people. There's also this one I'd like to take a quick look at on page 10. Man arrested for beheading boat driver confesses to crime. I'm talking about the Kuntenase area in the Ashanti region, where they've picked up one Rashid Ibrahim for the alleged cold-blooded murder of Israel Ajay Menu, a head teacher of Rogel Montessori School and owner of a private vehicle used for ride-hailing services. The 33-year-old who was driving a Toyota Vitz vehicle was beheaded on Sunday afternoon. Some inhabitants of Theyase Akoyem in the Bosomtwe district of the Ashanti region, where the incident occurred, said they heard a loud cry for help only to discover a body with the head cut off. So apparently this man's alibi was not working. Initially, he was saying a lot of incoherent stuff, and eventually he confessed to the crime. It gets more and more gruesome. I don't know what is happening, especially this year, from the tail end of last year to this year. The sort of things we have heard, and the sort of, I don't know, but 2021, you know, last year we were talking about, oh, COVID year. We're hoping 2021 will be way better. 2021 has given us different strains of the coronavirus. We are now dealing with Delta. We've seen an uptick in crime. Well, some statistics would tell you that maybe it's not exactly an uptick, but the sort of crimes we've seen in this year. You remember that place close to Kasua and the 10-year-old boy who was, I mean, so many of them, and now the fires.
This one you read, shared, is also turning out to be one of those alleged ritual killings. Because
he wasn't just beheaded.
He was looking for money, and so some people had told him, bring the head of a human being, and then they were going to turn his fortunes around. So that's what motivated him to do what he did.
I hope they are tracing this person who told him to get the human head, just as in other instances we've seen. And finally, people wrote me off when I decided to stay at Swansea, Andre Ayew. But look at him now. Best male player at the last Ghana Football Awards.
All right, let's do the Daily Guide newspaper. Front page of the Daily Guide, massive fire rocks Makola is how they headline what we witnessed yesterday. Efeodo runs from Fix the Country after NDC tag. Nana rescues the conjoined twins. We must put Ghana first. That's how the front page of the paper looks like. If you do the center spread, pay pension lump sum top up. That's the Trades Union Congress expressing concern over the delay in the payments of pension lump sum top-ups to some workers who retired in 2020 under the 3-tier pension scheme Act 766. And according to the TUC, these workers retired with inferior lump sum benefits compared to what they would have received if they had retired under the old pension scheme, the PNDC Law 247. So Mr. Anthony Yauba, General Secretary of the TUC, made the call recently in a press statement following a TUC General Council meeting at Kasua in the Central Region. The rest of the story is there in the center spread of the paper. The bit about Efeodo, though, it says social media personality Efeodo, who is also a key member of the Fix the Country campaign, says she's taking a break from championing the cause. In a statement she shared on Instagram yesterday, she hinted that the reason for her absence, if you like, is political, and that her mental health is at stake, and didn't explain further. And they go on to say the controversial actress is, however, taking her break from the Fix the Country campaign, which has largely been associated with elements of the opposition NDC. You can read on, the rest of the story. I think it's just unfair, really, that because you take on a certain course, people would just try and tag you and drag you and limit you and associate you with all sorts of elements. But that's just what it is. And people who otherwise would be championing certain courses, they look at what happens to others and they keep mute, because do I want to do it so that I am tagged, I am dragged like the way it happens to others? Unfortunately, that's what it is. I thought that would just let her be.
Is it muzzling? Obviously it is. It appears nowadays when you say anything that rubs certain people in the wrong way, you'll get backlash. And it comes from so many different quarters. I've spoken to very prominent people who tell you they get threats from faceless people they don't even know, people who are telling them, look, you better stop what you're doing, the things you're posting, the things you're saying, else we shall do X, Y, Z. And of course, when it gets like this, you note what is said there, that it's taking a political twist. And that always is problematic. I feel we should be able to express ourselves, because I know a lot of people who have vacillated between our two major political parties, the MPP and the NDC, and they have been ferocious at different points in time. These are people who are committed to the red, gold, green, and black star of Ghana. They are not committed to a political party. And I feel all of us should be like that. If all of us are able to be like that and go after each administration, pointing the flaws, lauding the positives, I think we'd get somewhere. But when you say you can't say anything about me, let's say you can't tell me nothing, then anyway, let's take a look at the Daily Statesman newspaper. Fire destroys 4-story building at Makola. Ejura probe committee begins sitting today. And this one that got my attention: outright ban on rosewood export. Government says directive takes immediate effect.
It was banned.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just banned the ban.
No, we've not banned the ban. We've added to the ban, if you like. Or we are reinforcing the ban, or we are concretizing the ban.
Yeah, so
let me bring you the story. It says the government has put a complete ban
so there was a partial ban
on the export of rosewood from the country, closing all rooms from the country regime of rosewood export ban, where people are able to take advantage of loopholes. This is in line with the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Rosewood remains a restricted wood species under Appendix 2 of the Convention. It goes on and on, but it talks about how a circular from the ministry signed by the Minister Samuel Abu Jinapor has further directed that, quote, all confiscated rosewood be auctioned only to the domestic market, and that no person who acquires rosewood at such auction shall be permitted to export it outside the country. So that is the latest in that development.
Sounds very familiar. I've heard that thing before about the auctioning, but I haven't heard what has been auctioned and who has received it, because I think it's so familiar. I heard this like how many months ago?
Pertinent questions. And I'm not being a pessimist, but I can almost foresee that we'll come back and be talking about rosewood again sometime soon, and it won't be in a positive light. You know why I can say that? Because we've done this for years. We've had this rhetoric and rosewood, and we're doing this and we're doing that from one administration to the next. And it always boils down to, it's like a snafu situation. I can't break down what snafu is. I can't use certain words on air. So yeah, that's it. That's it for that paper, Marvi. Anything else you want to look at?
No, please.
Okay. The Daily Dispatch basically captures most of the stories we've done. The only bit that it adds is government takes up the 15 million cost of separating conjoined twins, but it adds that the 12 million CD equipment is to be government property in the end. So that's the only bit I guess we can add up. Shall we do myjoyonline.com? Check out what exactly the stories are online that we can share right before we bring you sports.
Good morning to David McCarthy, who is on something this morning. We're not sure what, but on myjoyonline.com.
He's high on watching. He had watching early this morning. He's high.
Oh, okay. I see it now. So that's the driver involved in this murder investigation in the Ashanti region, who says from investigations with the police, he says, I was influenced by money. Is it by money ritual, according to him, in his as he confers to committing the crime after initial denials. All right, there are plenty more stories. NDC embarks on March for Justice demonstration today. So they're converging at the Accra Mall. We're told that there is police presence there. And if you are just about leaving home and you've now heard about the demonstration, well, you have to change your routes at some point. So make sure that you're not so upset. There's a demonstration. And I think the routes that they are using from the Accra Mall all the way through Operbia, they will go through the aviation through to the cantonment's post office, and then the police will lead them. They said they would do a presentation to the president. They will do one also to the Speaker of Parliament. So you might encounter some traffic on your way to work or whatever destination this morning. Just take note of that. We will be bringing you coverage of this demonstration here on our show this morning. Also, presidency foots 15 million Ghana cedi surgery bill for conjoined twins. We share that with you. Committee to start investigation into Ejura disturbances today. And then another committee to investigate military brutality in Wa hits the ground running. Government to provide 24-hour security for staff, management, and patients of Pantai Hospital. The Makola fire, we can't be blamed for failing to douse fire in time. That's the fire service PRO. The rest of it is on the page. On COVID-19, minority disputes claims Delta variant was found in communities in July. Yep. There are plenty more other stories on myjoyonline.com, Ben.
Well, right before we go for sports, this is a belated wish, a very special belated happy birthday to Mrs. Isis Salas Mensah. May you continue to shine in love and beauty. It's from your loving husband, Honorable Samuel Salas Mensah. And so your birthday was yesterday, Mrs. Salas Mensah. Belated happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Constable Aivo Jennifer Janelle of Police National Headquarters Communications Department, and that's from Constable Asamoah Bright. So there's also a birthday wish to Diana Tete in Kpong. I pray for God's abundant grace upon your life, and that is from Ebenezer Sabute. Well, so those are the birthday wishes. Belated to Mrs. Salas Mensah, and to the rest of you, happy birthday.
Just before we cross over for, to bring you sports, there's a situation brewing in Nigeria, just a little bit of it. And gunmen in Nigeria have kidnapped at least 140 school children in the northwest of the country, according to police. So at least 8 people were also abducted from the National Tuberculosis and Leprosy Center in Zaria early Sunday morning. 2 nurses and a 12-month-old child were among those seized. Said a hospital worker, and details of this is on the BBC page. All right. Muftal comes up next with sports.
What sort of leaders were Stephen Appiah, John Mensah, and Asamoah Gyan? There's no any other person than Andre Ayew to share with us the qualities the trio possessed as captains of the Black Stars. Under them, Andre Ayew played with all these players. Also, in the boxing community, we'll be talking about one man who is aspiring to lead the Ghana Boxing Authority, Manley Spain. He says he's going to put up an academy to ensure that the boxing community continue to unearth more talents. We'll also be talking about Euros because the semi-final commences tonight. It is Spain versus Italy. Let's settle for the details of our stories. Black Stars skipper Andre Ayew has compared the leadership style of the 3 captains that he has played under Stephen Appiah, John Mensah, and Asamoah Gyan. Speaking on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7, Andre Ayew describes Stephen Appiah's leadership as a match, John Mensah as one who doesn't speak much, and Gyan as the jovial kind of a leader.
I think each one of them, they were all different. In their...
How was Stephen Appiah, for instance? How was John Mensah? How was Asamoah Gyan?
I think Stephen was top class as a leader. I think he's someone who had the charisma, who had the love from the Ghanaians. So, and on the pitch he was marvelous. But he had those 2 things on the side, which is the charisma, the love from the Ghanaians, that gave him that power to be able to control everything that was happening in the squad. And he knew how to deal with players. He knew how to motivate players. For me, he was top. He was a different. For me, as the first time coming to the Black Stars, he was the leader, and I was watching him a lot, spying him, and I really took a lot from him, because he has that thing that I think he did not learn. No one taught him. It's a gift by God. That's why he was able to achieve all what he achieved with the Black Stars. John Mensah also was a different leader. Didn't speak much. Was always calm in his corner, but he spoke on the pitch. John Mensah was the one. His performance on the pitch will make you understand what he's telling you. You understand, and that was his style. He wasn't a big talker. But he was always calm, and he had the respect from everyone. But mainly because he used to perform on the pitch. When he wore the Black Star jersey, I don't remember one game where somebody can say John Mensah did not play well. I don't remember. I'm trying to recall. Since I was in the Black Stars, I don't recall that. Then last it was Baby Jet. Another style also, more jovial, more into the laughter side of ways with the players, the way to interact with the squad. He had that ability to be able to interact with any player at any time, due to the way he comported himself, which was different from the two leaders before. And we all know he's the all-time Ghana goal scorer. He World Cup African top scorer. When we needed a goal, Baby was there to deliver. So, like I explained, these three, so I tried to take a little bit from each of them and add my own to try and do something.
Now, let's talk about Ghana football. And hooliganism in Ghana football, many say, is a canker that has found its way into the fabric of the country's domestic competitions. In 2021 alone, there are about 17 reported cases of hooliganism in the Premier and Division 1 leagues. This menace has been with us since time immemorial. But how do we end it? What have we not done right, and what must change? Joining me via Zoom to discuss this is FIFA and CAF Safety and Security Officer and a FIFA Integrity Officer, Captain Nick Owusu. Captain, a pleasure to have you this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, my brother. I hope everybody's doing well.
Yeah, thanks very much. Briefly tell us, what have we not gotten right in terms of our fight to have Ghana Premier League and Division 1 League centers to be safe grounds for football fans, football players, and referees?
Okay, thank you very much once again. We must understand that to achieve an effective security system is a balance between infrastructure and personnel. And as we sit right now, the situation we find ourselves is not very, very pleasant. You've reiterated the number of times that a lot of these protocols have been breached and people's lives have been risked.
Yeah.
So the problems, as I see, is a massive infrastructure deficit, and with this, what we have is not adequate. What can we do about it? So the question is, who is inspecting these facilities and giving approvals for them? And then do we have a regime where we do continuous reassessment to be able to see that the structural integrity of these facilities are up to scratch? Because if you look at even the last video you played, people had access to the pitch.
Yeah.
So if the inner perimeter fencing was actually serving its purpose, people shouldn't have access to the pitch to be able to even chase down the referee the way that it was happening. So we also need to have personnel who are trained.
Okay.
What we do with FIFA and CAF when you are appointed for matches is that we have one person who is trained in providing safety and security in the football environment. And this person goes into an operational area and works with the local security framework to be able to deliver the match.
Okay.
And we need to use the same approach here. I would suggest that the FA trains and appoints regional safety and security officers who will be trained and will be responsible for these matches.
Okay.
We could also implement a strict club licensing regime and to ensure that the structural integrity of our stadiums are up to scratch, and then continuous reassessment, because you might go to a venue to inspect the stadium before we start the league.
Okay.
The inner perimeter fencing is intact.
Okay.
All the safety elements are okay. And then as we go along the league, then some breaches are implemented, and therefore is able to give access to some of these things to happen.
Okay, so Nick,
Nick,
just a quick one. You talked about CAF and the FIFA examples. Recently, we had a conversation with the GFA president who said that when some of these hooligans find their way into match centers and perpetrate their acts, the police should act. And at this point, many say that the GFA is relying on their commitment to fight these hooligans and ensure that the Ghana football venues are safe for football fans. If you were to advise the Ghana Football Association, what would change in terms of their approach to some of these things?
Yes, you see, the way football security is delivered is nowhere in the training manuals of the Ghana Police Service. So you cannot and you should not rely solely on the Ghana Police Service, as it were, even all other state security agencies, to be able to deliver that. There should be someone who is trained in working with these state agencies to ensure that these deliverables are achieved. So that is why I am highly recommending that the GFA trains and appoints regional safety and security officers. So when a match is flagged in your region, you are mandated to work with the security agencies and deliver the match operationally, because the operational competencies of the personnel who are assigned to these duties in terms of running football security is not as it should be. And you cannot blame them, because it's not part of their day-to-day training, is not part of their day-to-day activities.
Okay, so Nick, my final question just before I let it go. What sort of advice will you give to the FA in terms of these hooligans who come to the stadium to perpetrate these acts? How do we fight them? How should the FA handle these things? People say the continual banning of venues is not the solution. What then is the solution?
Strict licensing regime and its implementation is one. Training and appointing regional safety and security officers is one. Acting on intelligence when we receive it, and doing the good risk assessment, because before this match in Brong-Ahafo, there were a lot of pointers that were indicating that the match was going to go through something like this.
Yeah.
So in the continental level, when the risk assessment points that the match is risky, sometimes the match is played on another venue, because it is the FA's responsibility. If you feel that lives are going to be at risk, you have all the right to make a decision that this match cannot take place at where it's supposed to take place. Okay. And therefore, we are moving this match for safety reasons to this venue. And I think that if we can implement this, we should, obviously, the model we are running is not working. So if we can implement this, I am very, very confident that we will be able to get it right.
Okay, thanks very much. We'll continue to have this conversation, because this hooliganism thing continues to run in Ghana football, and it's been on for so many seasons now. Just like I mentioned,
just this year alone, we've had about 17 reported cases of hooliganism in Ghana football, and a solution must be found sooner than later. But now let's do something quick on boxing, where the Ghana Boxing Authority presidential aspirant Manley Spain has laid down his vision for boxing before delegates ahead of July 22 elective Congress. He has prioritized 3 things, including an academy to unearth more talents and also the building of a television station for the boxing community.
The GBA TV, number 1. The academy that I wanted to set up. Also, there are other things that we've actually put in place. And therefore, I feel when the time comes, no one is holding me back. It's an assurance, and I had always assured people and had never failed the assurances. I'm going to deliver. If not, you can hold me to it. Especially you, the press guys. I'm also going to deal with the media a lot because you are going to be our mouthpiece. I am not going to leave you alone. I am going to hold you tight. I'm going to hold you responsible. What we will be going for, the number 1 issue that we will be going for or chasing is to have a secretariat or secretariat, you call it. And that secretariat have to be equally like the football one, whereby each and every department of ours would have their offices. So if anyone needs an assistance and needs to come and talk to me, fine, they can see me. The vice is going to be there. If the issue it's on their licenses, the person in charge of licenses is going to have his office. They can easily walk in there and have all these things done. I wanted to plead with you, the media, to know that I'm going to be with you, and I'm really going to need your support. I need you, I need you, I need you to back me. I need you to just watch my back for me.
Dr. Manley Spain over there speaking about his vision for the boxing community should delegates give him the mandate to lead them for the next 4 years. He's contesting alongside Abraham Nikwe, currently the 2nd vice president of the authority. These two are the people who have picked nomination forms to contest for the position of president. The elections will be happening on July 2. Tonight, we are bringing you the semi-final fixture involving Italy and Spain as the Euro 2020 continues. It's the last 4 countries, and live on Joy Prime tonight, Stephen Appiah, Lion Kingston, Michael Porter will join Nathaniel Arthur as they build up to the fixture at exactly 6 p.m. I'm Muftar Nabila Abdullah. It's been a pleasure coming your way with AM Sports on the AM show. Enjoy the rest of the program.
But in a related matter, on the back of what happened in Ejura, you know, the engagement between officers of the military and the police service and youth of Ejura, we're going to have a discussion because that 3-member committee that has been set up is commencing its work. We'll get details from Erastus Asare-Donko, who's been following this matter extensively. Erastus, good morning to you. If you can hear me, do tell, what is the latest on this particular matter? I know their sitting starts from 10 a.m. What is the latest you can report?
So the Justice Kumston Committee on the Ejura disturbances yesterday started their work by paying a catcall on the Ejura chief, Nana Osei, and then also visited the affected families, those who lost their people to the disturbances, and the injured as well. So they paid visits to various families and also used the occasion to invite them, those who were there, who witnessed it, those who have evidence, even to the death of Kaka, who's the original point from which all this is emanating from. And so they used that occasion to invite anybody who has information to come before the committee to testify. Now today, we've been to the Prempa Assembly Hall where they will be sitting today. They are starting at 10 a.m. They have arranged their things. Currently, they are still fixing their things. By 10 a.m., they will start and begin to hear from people who were there and all that. Now, during their rounds yesterday, some of the families, especially that of Nasir Yusuf, who died during the demonstration, requested for assistance so they could make the trip from Ejura to Kumasi to testify. That was taken in good faith by Justice Kunsin. He said that when they communicate with them on how they want to come and who is to come, they will make arrangements for them to be able to come to Kumasi to testify. So this morning, we as multimedia, we have also received a letter from the committee that we are supposed to appear before the committee today. And so I have been given the green light to appear before the committee. So we'll see how that pans out when sitting starts at 10 a.m. today.
Well, of course, especially as we gave that live coverage of the incident, I know that definitely we would have a lot to share at that committee's sitting. But what have people been sharing with you ahead of the sitting of the committee? What are the expectations so far that you've heard from the people concerning the incident in Ejura?
Many are expecting the truth. Many are expecting the committee to do a good job. To be fearless and also to be fair and at the end of the day bring out the truth behind all this. And so when the committee went round at Ejura yesterday, many were happy with the sittings. They were happy with the composition of the team, the Justice of the Appeals Court and other members, and they told them that indeed they are pained by the loss of their relatives, but they do have confidence in the team put together by the president. They want them to do a good job. They want them to bring the truth at the end of the day. And so that's what people are looking for, justice, the truth, and then justice at the end of the day for victims of that disturbance.
Now, you spoke a short while ago about the confidence of people, hoping that justice will be served. What is the level of confidence of people generally that you've spoken to in terms of this justice being served? Are all the people you spoke to optimistic that at the end of proceedings of the work of the committee, justice in fact will be served?
Well, there are those who are pessimistic. In fact, there are those who don't even believe that anything will come out of this committee because they refer to the Ayawaso disturbances, and they say that even when the committee has finished and submitted its work, nothing has been done in terms of enforcing the recommendations. So they believe that this is just one of those exercises that will end in futility, but they still have to go through anyway. And so there are those who do not believe that anything good will come out of this. It will just be business as usual. There are those who also do not believe in the that anything will come out of it, but they feel that the public sitting itself, for people to vent their spleen, voice out, speak about what happened, and be able to vent their frustration before the committee, they believe that that solves 50% of the problem and the pain that people feel in their hearts. So they believe it's a good exercise, and then we must go through with it.
Well, Erastus, there's a lot to look forward to from around 10 a.m. But before you take leave of us, I know that and this was a commission on the back of the Ayawaso West Wuogon incidents, the Emil Short Commission. We had some media people who testified there. Now, you are going to do something similar, as an eyewitness. You were there on behalf of the multimedia group. What are your expectations, leading into that? And generally, what are your expectations ahead of the committee sitting?
Well, as a media person, I feel it's my civic responsibility to assist such a committee to unravel the truth. And so it doesn't matter how I feel about the end game. I still have to go through with that civic responsibility. At the end of the day is the truth and submitted to the committee. We expect that after whatever recommendations or whatever their findings may be, government will be able to implement some of them to ensure that we do not have those nasty scenes again in any part of this country.
Well, Erastus, thank you so much for connecting with us this morning, and we shall stay in touch with you as the committee commences its work. We shall now take a break, and when we return on the AM show, we'll be telling you about more that you need to know. So do stay with us. We'll be back on the AM show.
Ahead of a public inquiry into what happened at Ejura, which has left 3 dead, the 3-member ministerial committee on the Ejura disturbances has been visiting the area. Led by Court of Appeal Judge Justice George Kingsley Kumsin, members first visited the chief of Ejura to officially announce the commencement of hearings on Tuesday. The chief of Ejura, Berma Osei bemoaned the worsening security situation at Ejura.
Na me feel say justice we pia e di hu so be masa nkrofo na adwombone abom kroma abom trom be so mo say ye kuro ma ye nti ye ade srede to aban nim say ye pe military detachment kuro yi mu na fe police no so a omo boy ho ba no so aban mie mu ma ye na yenya security agencies ni be brave wo krom ha say na enkwala na enyini ba no wo mo amefa wo mo adwombone ne tumode aye omo ma
Traditional council, any Kromha opinion leaders.
Justice George Kingsley Kumsin stressed the need for people who witnessed or have evidence to the deaths and injuries recorded during the disturbances to testify before the committee to aid its work.
Ejura is a big town. We wouldn't know whether Kweku or Amma was present when the incident took place. If I can use multimedia as an example, when the incidents were happening, some of your staff were covering, so we know that at least they, from their own reportage, they have some evidence which will be helpful to us. Those ones we are extending invitations to them specifically. But the people of Ejura, you know, we cannot determine this man was there, that man was there, or that woman was there. That is why it has become necessary for us to meet the chiefs and the people so that any person who has any information or evidence to help us to unravel the truth and to make the appropriate recommendation, we do it.
The committee visited families of victims of the disturbances. At the home of Muntala Muhammad, the 26-year-old killed by the military, his grandfather, Alhaji Umar Al-Hassan, who is the Dagomba chief of Ejura, pledged support for the committee's work. The families of other slain men, Nasir Yusuf and Kaka, requested for witnesses to be supported to make the trip to the committee's sittings in Kumasi.
Mi bisa hwe commission no mo ayen hihye bisa ebetimi aboa se na be ya obi a wo bibi ka fa ho wonni ska obeba no obeye de na watimi adur Kumasi
ebi opani afre eno amena epese obekasa na emom owosa ahokyire mu ye be yen hihye a ye betumi ama wa bekasa na wasan aba.
Justice Kumsin has been extending invitation to people with evidence and eyewitnesses to come before the committee to assist in unraveling the truth. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Ejura, Ashanti region.
It's been more than 10 hours since firefighters started fighting the inferno that engulfed this building here. Some hours ago, they were able to bring the situation under control. But now, they are trying to fight the reignited flames that is coming from the first floor of the building here. We are told some combustible materials like spray, wick, and other materials are in that building. I've been speaking to the mayor of Accra, Mohammed J. Soa. He says firefighters here initially had a challenge with the fire hydrants. He says there is low pressure for most of them here in this area.
The only challenge that they had initially from the beginning was the fact that the pressure of water within the precinct of the CBD was low. So after they finished with the discharge of water, to replenish it, they have to go to Alaju or Circle to replenish it and come back over here. That delay caused a bit of distraction in the firefighting. But overall, they have been very consistent, and at any point in time, we have not less than 5 fire tenders fighting over here. And they have been fighting since 9:30. But I have seen many fire officers who were on uniform, meaning they were just at home, and they had come here to come and support.
The roofing of the structure has been completely ripped off by the fire. There are also visible cracks in a section of the building. Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Ellis Robinson Oko, says city authorities would have to do an assessment of the structure before anyone can occupy it.
The structure is weak. It's weak, and we don't know when it may break down. You understand me? And so even before the occupants come back, we ensure that the appropriate authority come to assess the structural integrity of the building before they come back. Then there are visible weakness in the building from the way we look up there. You can see some cracks up there, and anything can happen. God knows.
Okay. So what measures is the Ghana Fire Service, Ghana National Fire Service putting in place to prevent any casualty? Now it is even dangerous for your men, because at the point we saw them entering the building.
As you can see, there is an operation area that we are operating, and nobody is even near the building. We are observing this from a certain meters away from the structure, and I believe it's safe to do that.
Okay.
But it is only because of the kind of materials that we have inside there. We have canisters of body spray, mosquito sprays, all sort of materials. Even the materials that we used to sew dress to wear, we have some over there. You see? So all of these things are reacting to the fire in their own special way. It's really a big problem. Today we have to rely on the hydrants from Circle and communities around Circle, Alajo and the rest, to be able to get water here to do the firefighting. And look at the distance involved. It has broken down. It is an emergency vehicle that works 24/7. Even human beings break down. So if an emergency vehicle works 24 hours in a day, it can easily break down. As I speak to you, it's with the mechanics, they are working on it.
But for a place very critical like the Central Business District, where you have a lot of businesses, people's investment are in here. Some of them have gone up in flames already. Don't you think it would have been good to have a standby water tender?
Come again?
Yeah, I'm saying, don't you think it would have been good to have a standby water tender here, even if what they have has broken down?
Yes. That is why a tender from a nearby station came in to assist. When a tender breaks down, there's nothing we can do unless we send it to the mechanics to work on it. You understand me? It's an emergency vehicle, and it has been working 24/7 for, who knows, 10 years, 20 years. It has broken down. We only send it for repairs. You understand me? and then rely on the ones that are available to do the work for us. That's exactly what we are doing here.
Yeah, but the argument of the traders is that, but for, that tender, I mean, the situation...
I disagree, because we interviewed some people here, and they are saying that the fire started somewhere around 6 something. We had the information 9:10. So that if it started around 6:30, it means that you cannot use the tender that is poured here as the basis for us not being here or whatever it is. No.
Okay.
So this was the situation late last night, but 24 hours after that fire started, we're told that there's a reignition of the fire started by some materials in the building. So what we are showing you now are actually videos from this morning, and you see that the fire is not totally under control yet. What my colleague Manuel Kranting, who's on the ground, reports is that shop owners are being asked to get what they can salvage from the ruins. So those shops in the basement are now having to take out their wares because the fire is not exactly under control yet. The report is that there are some combustible materials which is also reigniting that fire that was started yesterday. So you see pockets of fires because of the materials being kept in that building. That's the situation this morning. Pictures live again from Makola, from the same place where that fire started yesterday. And firefighters have not exactly been able to bring that fire totally under control. That's the situation. That's what we're reporting from Makola this morning. There are rolls of fabric, boxes of toiletries and other sanitary products among the goods being retrieved from the basement of that building. There's a very popular shop that sells fabric, school materials, that's also getting what they have out of that entire building. So it's not exactly safe yet for the market women, particularly those who occupy this building. We see that popular shop I was talking about, Abna Wahab, who sells uniforms, really. Every fabric that you're looking for, you would find in that shop. We're told that they're also trying to get their stuff out of the building. So that's what we can share with you by way of live updates, what the situation is inside Makola. You see the firefighters in there still trying to douse the flames, reignited, we're told this morning, by some combustible materials being kept in that building. All right, so that's by way of the latest with the Makola fires. Stay with us. When we come back, we're talking about Yamaransa model. It's a unique ongoing partnership to encourage sustainable development. We'll tell you how exactly they're doing this. All right, so let's talk about the Yamaransa model. My guest in studio, Dr. Deborah Rose, is President, Helping African Friends of Yamaransa Foundations. Good morning to you. Also, Kafui Prebi is CEO of Tech Aid and Project Director at Implementers. And joining via Zoom is Mr. Japhet Ayiku, Executive Director, Helping Africa Foundation. Well, we will get Japhet on when we connect, but good morning to you both. Thank you for coming.
Morning.
Yeah. The Yamaransa model, first of all, maybe I'll start with you, Dr. Deborah Rose. Tell me about the Yamaransa model and what makes it unique.
Well, it started with the Yale Alumni Service Corps, wished to go to Africa. They were led to Ghana, the University of Cape Coast, and Yamaransa, where the university already had a program. We're participatory, and that's how that community works too. They have given us, gratefully, permission to use their name in the model.
Because I was going to ask, do you come from Yamaransa?
At this point, I do, but this is not about me.
Okay, great. Maybe you can also tell us a bit more why Yamaransa.
Okay, so thank you, Mama V. So Deborah is actually the Queen Mother Nana Nyansma, the first of Yamaransa, due to the good work that has been done. And this participatory development, we got pulled in from implementers and tech aid to help bring technology and development to the people. And so as project manager, the model helps to bring in different parts of the community into building a sustainable project. And so this started somewhere in 2014, and it has grown on into 8 regions already, and we're working towards 16 regions. So it's purely a development participatory approach that helps community development. And that is why because it started from Yamaransa, the people of Yamaransa and the Helping Africa Foundation have agreed that the project or the whole model should be named the Yamaransa model.
Okay, great. And we'll be showing you visuals of the projects that we're talking about. But Dr. Rose, this is not the first place that you're implementing a thing like this, is it?
No.
Yeah, Dr. Rose, I wanted you to share what is different from this particular model and other modules.
We're participatory and we are fast and flexible.
Okay, you want to expand that?
Yeah, fast and flexible. It means that every time we have to do a project, we involve the community. We're very flexible to listen to the needs. We don't just throw technology solutions or development solutions to the community. We do a detailed assessment in consultation with the municipal chief executive, directors of education, the schools themselves, the community leaders, the assembly people, before we embark on any particular project. So the project is really the need of the people, and it really solves the problem.
Okay, and this is also targeting at the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So which of the goals exactly?
Well, the clearest one is Goal 4, which is promoting quality education. We really use the Ghana Education Service curriculum. These are junior high schools, so it's the curriculum for the BECE, but we make it fun and interesting for the students to learn.
So one of them, I should mention, is promoting quality education. We also do achieving gender equality.
Okay.
Gender is really big on us. So even though our target is to, impact the life of about 100,000 people across Ghana, which we've started, our target is to get 50-50 for male-female ratio.
Okay.
And the best, people who are working with us and some of these managing these centers are women.
Nice.
And we're empowering them as center managers, we're empowering them as teachers, and so on and so forth. In fact, we just dedicated a project at Bawe on Saturday, and the robotics team, because we set up a robotics center as part of the project, we're all girls. And they demonstrated to us, and the mayor of the city of Accra, the former mayor, was there to see that these girls have developed sensors with a bucket with some kind of tubes that you can just wash your hand. These are all girls' teams. So gender equality is really one of our things.
We can now connect to Japhet Ayiku, Executive Director, Helping Africa Foundation. A very good morning to you, if you can hear me.
Good morning. Morning.
Okay, great. So I wanted you to tell us about the other projects. The Yamaransa is not your first project, is it?
Actually,
yes,
it is.
Well, we first went to Yamaransa, and then from there we learned some lessons and applying those lessons toward the regions of Ghana. And so far, I don't know what you've mentioned already, but so far we have built 8 of these ICT computer centers in 8 regions of Ghana. We have 3 more on the drawing board that we are going to be dedicating in the coming.
Okay, Mr. Ayiku, can you hear me? Because I think I just lost the connection to Mr. Japhet Ayiku, Executive Director, Helping Africa Foundation. He was just telling us about the other projects that they've undertaken. If you can hear me, if the connection is back. Okay, we're working on it to try and get him to connect with us again. But maybe you can also help with the 8 projects that he mentioned.
Yeah, so the target was to do one big project, completed 8 in 8 different regions. And this year we're dedicating 3 more projects. Tomorrow we'll be seeing some in Ashanti region, Tano North, and so on and so forth. So by the end of this year, we'd have done 16 projects. And these are technology centers with new solar-powered computer centers, 2 ICT labs, 50-seater. We have a maker space which has robotics, Arduino programming, virtual reality for kids, and then a conference room for training sessions. So this package of 4 rooms plus the solar panel makes up a Yamaransa model with all the people around the community who make the project successful. So we're doing by 11 by the end of the year. In 2024, we'll be done with.
Or 16.
Yes.
Wow, that's huge.
Yes.
But Ms. Ayiku joins us again. I wanted to ask, how do you settle on the areas, where you're undertaking these projects?
Yeah, so we have something called promoters. These are individuals who we contact, and with their knowledge of the areas that they come from and their community. That is not what we started to do anyway in the first place, because originally we met with the second lady who was very gracious in meeting us when we came to Ghana. And to her recommendation, we went to the north and they built one supporting school in Togo area. We also met with the president. We hosted the president in the U.S. Back in 2019. We came back to Ghana. We had a conversation with him, and we asked him where he would like us to build one of these centers for. And we went to KB and built one of the centers in KB as well. But so we consider them as promoters. But lately, these are individuals that, for example, that I know in the U.S. who come from areas in the Brongahafo area, in what we call the Bona area, and these are people who are recommending us to build the centers for them, with their commitment that they will support these centers that we're building. So that's how we sort of go about making our selections.
Okay, great. But who is funding the projects?
Well, the project is being funded by the Help in Africa Foundation, which is an organization based in the U.S. Committed to spreading and intervening in social issues and education, healthcare, and that kind of thing. So it's the Help in Africa Foundation that is funding the project. But the model is that the community will have to have the buy-in. So most of the structures that the computers are set up, such a unique model that we don't just come in and build something for the community. They have to demonstrate their commitment to what we're trying to do. So the community builds the structures, and we come in, and then we put in the equipment and the programs.
Great. Just before we go, Dr. Rose, which country are you working in now?
Well, we're in Ghana, but our next country will be Gambia, because we know a very dynamic woman who has a private school, high school this time, and was eager to have us come in. I'd just like to add to something that Japhet said. With Yamaransa, Yale actually, volunteers did some of the funding, but we have now evolved so that if you divide the project into 2 halves, providing the building and then providing all the technology and computer technology and the teaching, funding for that part. So we're already financially sustainable there. And then we want them to gradually be able to fund everything in the future.
All right. Well, we have to end the conversation here. I thank you so much for coming and telling us about the Yamaransa model and the other projects as well.
But on social media, just quickly, you can check the Yamaransa model on social media or Implementers GH to see all the progress that we're doing in Ghana.
Okay,
the
great.
website, yes.
All right. So that's it for our show. We thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.